Welcome to the Paycheck to Passion Top Tips video podcast, where we bring you the best advice for everyday entrepreneurs from our podcast interviewees. Okay, so what's on this show today then, Meredith?
Well, today we're interviewing Cappello. And what Karen does is she teaches people how to become a business or life coach.
Cool.
And so she has 30 years of business experience. She's been a university administrator, a president of a semiconductor manufacturing company, and an estate planner. And then one day she decided she really didn't want to go there anymore. So she became a certified coach in 2002 and managed to rack up 250 hours of coaching in less than 9 months. And so since then, she's trained coaches for 3 different programs for the past 7 years. And she really knows the steps that you need to take to create a coaching business.
Yeah, indeed so. It's a very good interview. So let's go and hear from Karen now.
So let's see. The first tip would be, I would say, notice who you're being in addition to what you're doing. And this was a really important one for me because I was always about doing, what I did. But there was a vibe that I was putting out. There was an essence energy that I had. There was something that I'm radiating. And what I've noticed is if I can notice like 80% of that who I'm being and 20% of what I'm doing, that's a really good way of doing it. So just a little story about this. I was speaking at Canyon Ranch Health Resort here in Tucson, which was one of the top spas of the world, actually. And that's a whole nother story for another podcast. But a guy came up to me in my first month, it was maybe first 6 months of coaching. He came up to me and he said, I just love your style. You have this great energy about you. And he said, I need some help with my relationship. Can you help me? And I'm thinking, well, I'm not a relationship coach, but I was giving off this great energy. And so I said, sure, I'll help you. And this is another story about listening. So I said, sure, I'll help you. And he said, okay, I know exactly how this is done. I pay you $1,000 a month and we do blah, 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 blah. And I went, yes. Now, remember, I was charging $300. So because he told me what he was going to pay me and I told him yes. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you're in your essence energy. So that's my first tip, is really get into that juicy, wonderful energy that you have and focus on that. Tip number 2, take exquisite self-care. Take care of yourself. What is it that it's going to be really good for you? So I loved waking up without an alarm, and that helped me bring my best self every day. So I was able to wake up without an alarm, and I still do. It's kind of like the goose that lays the golden egg. If you are in business for yourself, you're the goose. So you want to make sure that you're really taking very good care of yourself. Let's see, tip number 3, trust yourself. Trust yourself and your own intuition. I remember years ago, I decided to coach coaches and I got on all these newsletters. And there was one newsletter that said, teleclass trainer wanted. And I didn't even know what this company was. I didn't know what. I thought they wanted me to train people on being a teleclass leader. So I put in my application. It was really weird. It was due on a Sunday, and I thought, this is kind of weird, but it felt right to me. So I put in the application. Turns out that it was a job for a coach trainer with a company in Australia. And I got on the line and I realized it. I didn't even do the research. I did everything kind of quote unquote wrong. And yet I felt so right about it. And they hired me a week later, and I stayed with that company for 7 years. I trained coaches. I became the chief learning officer. And here's the other thing. It was paid marketing for me. Since coaches were my tribe, I was training them every day. So when they got ready to do their business, they developed their business, they came to me. So I say, trust yourself. Even if even if you don't know what it is, go for it. My next tip is there's a saying that says, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And I run my business this way. So if I cannot say, wow, I definitely want to do this, I let it go. Whatever it is, even if the person next to me made, $20,000 or $30,000 or $100,000, doesn't matter. I'm not going to do it unless it's a hell yes for me, which Meredith and Jasper, this interview, when it came through, it was a hell yes. I want to talk to these two. So
awesome.
I immediately did it. And let's see, the fifth tip is you don't need to know how. You just need to make a decision to have a business, let's just say. I have a client that I actually met at Canyon Ranch, and he is a salesperson. And he came up to me at the time he was at Canyon Ranch. He was looking for a relationship. It was weird how these people at Canyon Ranch don't want relationships. But I helped him with that. I also helped him with business. And I tease him and say he's my oldest client. He's younger than I am, but he's my longest standing client. And 2 years ago, he started with a brand new company from a standing start. And he made a decision and said, I'm going to be the number one salesperson at this company by the end of the year. Well, honestly, neither one of us knew how he was going to do it because he didn't even have any clients. Would you believe? But we moved forward. We made that decision, and everything started coming to him. The hows came to him. By the end of the year, he had made $1 million in revenue to him, income, not sales. And it was because he made the decision and he didn't need to know the how. He allowed the how, the way, to come to him. So I would say, if you want to do something, make the decision and allow the how to come to you.
Thank you for listening. If you would like more, then all our episodes are available on iTunes or on our website at paychecktopassion.com. There you can find additional resources, you can ask us a question, or just get in touch. See you next time.